Hello and welcome to another episode of the Talkin Rangers podcast. Today is Friday, April 12th. This is episode 28 of the Talkin Rangers podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe. We'll have a lot more content coming your way come the playoffs. Only 2 games left in the regular season for the New York Rangers. Tomorrow afternoon at MSG against the Islanders, and then Monday night against the Senators, an Islanders team who's still battling for a playoff spot, but looking pretty secure if they keep winning, and in a Senators team who's had an abysmal season. Rangers basically need 2 games, lock up the Metro, lock up the standings, and hopefully, ideally win the President's Trophy. Ideally, have to face that number 2 wild card spot. We will see, though. Still a lot has to go on in the Eastern Conference before the regular season comes to a close, I believe, officially on Thursday, although the Rangers will come to a close early on Monday. Joe, a lot to discuss today. How's it going, man?
Dude, it's good. I mean, might be getting playoff surprise.
Yep.
So
Yep, that's the biggest storyline of the day. We'll get to the last 2 games. Of course, the Rangers haven't played their best hockey over the last 2 games with a 4-2 loss to the Islanders on Tuesday, and then last night falling to the Flyers 4-1. 2 desperate teams. Rangers aren't playing with much energy right now. They're not as desperate as these teams. They realize they're already in. The standings were pretty comfortable there for a while. Now they're getting a little tight, but the Rangers hopefully will gain a lot more energy once the playoffs start. Once things really start to matter, as they need 16 big wins after that. But the biggest news today was Filip Chytil was out practicing, which was a very, very, very pleasant surprise. And it was interesting because yesterday you heard some of the reporters at Morning Skate talk about that Chytil had a locker room set up with his jersey and stuff there, his pants. And it seemed as if he might have just been there kind of on his own, doing work, doing practice on his own, coming back for the playoffs to obviously, I guess, just watch the team, and of course from the upper deck, obviously where they go. So it seemed like that was kind of what he was going to do. But then today he goes out and he's actually practicing, and he was in a non-contact jersey. So
no,
Filip Chytil,
he
game
was in
one, or
he was
he
in
was in a contact jersey. I
the
apologize. He
contact
was in a
jersey.
contact jersey. I messed up. In a contact jersey. Filip Chytil, game one. What are your thoughts on this? Definitely a nice surprise.
Dude, full participant in practice is like crazy. Like, especially because of like where he was at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like saying he's done. He was like pretty much career wise was like up in the air, and now he kind of
Mm-hmm.
comes out of nowhere. Maybe they were trying to do a little like lightning Vegas gymnastics with the
Yeah.
cap. Maybe he was
Yeah.
never hurt. Maybe the second injury never happened. But no, all seriousness though, it's see him like it's cool to see that he's healthy again, and I have a feeling he's gonna play game one.
Yeah.
Especially the progression was there was no progression. He just came back full contact, full
Yeah.
practice. It wasn't like he came back has to skate for a week in the red jersey. Dude, he just came right back. So
Yeah.
it's an indication to me that, well, first off, they said he was medically cleared. That's number
Mm-hmm.
one. Number two, if he had been skating for a while, at least he's somewhat built up his conditioning. So you think maybe like a week and he'll be ready, which luckily for the Rangers, they're probably going to end up playing next Saturday. So you're going to have about like 5, 6 days off, depending on when the game one is. But he's such a good player for this team. He was like, we were both really high on him before the season. And if he comes back and is half the player he is, I mean, it's such a huge for the Rangers. He's the missing piece. I feel like we've been saying this whole season. We need a guy that can drive play 5-on-5, and he's the epitome of that. I mean, he comes in with speed, he can shoot. He's the best 5-on-5 player on the team. I think he's better than Panarin 5-on-5.
Yeah, I agree. He's a big piece that was missing. And of course, when he went down, you really felt for him. He was working back home in Czech, came all the way back to the States, got hurt again, had to go back home. But I think a lot of credit goes to Hedel here, where he's, despite all of the, I guess, not really noise, but despite all of the stuff put on him that he was done for the year, he had to get ready for next season, needed to be shut down. Despite all that, it was clearly that he still had the fire inside of him, fire under him to still want to play this year, still have an urge to fight his way back, kind of go against all odds. Nobody saw this coming, especially after the last incident where he had, had the same injury, re-injured, and then has to go back home again. So a ton of credit for him. It's just a big, really a team guy, wants to be there for his team, wants to try and make a late push back here to be a big factor come the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, he's huge. His absence has been big. I mean, he was the reason the Rangers needed to go out and add a third line center, was because of his absence. But what he could bring to the table for this team in the playoffs is huge. This is a guy that we've been missing all year. If you would have told me that Chytil would have missed basically the entire season, I mean, what he's played, how many? I think he played what, 10
10,
games,
10.
10 games. Yeah, it was 10 games. Like, you would have told me Chytil would have played 10 games and this team would be 53, 23, and 4. I don't think many people would have believed you. That's how much of a key piece he is. You get him back now for the playoffs. This team starts to click again and doesn't look like they look like the last two nights. I mean, they could be lethal. And I know you posted it today on the Twitter about this potential lines and him potentially bumping up as that first line right wing, where you'd have Mika, Kreider, and of course Chytil. That
Dude,
first line, and that could.
I'm like so excited. Like I feel like we're kind of saying this before, that it was kind of like a little bit of a, not a blemish, but I mean, not a great feeling after those 2 games. And I feel like the heel
Yeah.
return kind of just like masked that, because dude, like I can't stress this enough. He's such an important player to this team. I mean, personally, I don't know how a lot of people think about this, but I think he's the best player out of Lafreniere and Kako. I don't even think it's close.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
he's so much more talented. He's got the speed. He's got the shot. He can skate with the puck like no other guy in this team. And I mean, obviously, the only question with him is, can he stay healthy? And
Mm-hmm.
if he comes back, like like people, I feel like around the league, even Rangers fans, I don't think how big of an impact this is going to be for the team.
Yeah. No, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, a lot of times, I guess the saying is like, you don't really know how good a guy is until he's not there. He's not a part of the group, or he's hurt, and that's really been the case with Chytil. His presence, his lack or his not being there for what, the entire season other than 10 games has been. I mean, it's just a huge. I think it's just a big energy jolt for the team as a whole. To see a big piece like that come back. For the fans, not saying the season was over after the last 2 nights, but the last 2 games, Tuesday and Thursday, were pretty ugly, especially against an Islanders team that, of course, is fighting Philly, or the Flyers. Philly, of course, a team that's also fighting for a playoff spot. And prior to that, went into that game with an 8-game losing streak. Like, you kind of hate losing to those desperate teams. They did it against Pittsburgh earlier in the month. It stings a little bit, but this definitely cures that. How many times? It's funny, us Rangers fans this year, it's been, how many times have we called the season? It's been like January, the season was over. Then we were back in February. The last 2 nights, people are like, yeah, this team's not going anywhere. And now we're back less than 24 hours later with Filip coming back.
Typical Rangers fans. We
Yeah.
always say that. Come on.
Yeah, it's like, what, the 4 times this year, maybe 4 separate times. Yeah, the January we were done. Then we were back in February. Then some people were done after the last 2 games. Now we're back.
It's gonna be the same thing.
I mean, we're done after 1 loss a lot of times.
But I'm gonna say just like wait for the playoffs. Game 1 we lose, it's gonna be season's over.
Yeah,
we're getting swept. Game 1 we win. This series going 4.
Yeah. And then if we win, like if we lose game 1 and we win game 2, we're winning 5.
Bring out the brooms though if we win game 1.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, even that stretch late in February, we lost what, 3 of 4, I think it was. You had the Columbus loss, and you lost back-to-back to Toronto and Florida. It was like, season over. We're done. March is going to be terrible. And then they go out in March and put together a nice month as well. So, yeah, a lot of craziness this year. But yeah, great to see Chytil back. Great to see Chytil back. Good for him as well, not just the team, but good to see that he's obviously healthy enough to be back skating on his own. We talked about this off air. What is louder, a Chytil game 1 goal or Matt Rempe game 1 goal? If he plays. I still think probably Rempe. The Rempe chance would be, just because of the Rempe chance. There's no Chytil chant. The Rempe chance would go on for at least another minute.
Dude, they did chant for him last year.
Who, Chytil?
There was a streak. Yeah, there was a streak of games where he was playing like really good, and they chanted for him.
Yeah, but I still think
the
Rempe chants are different. Like, Rempe doesn't do anything and they chant.
It's probably Rempe, but just because the fact that he's not going to get many chances to score. So
Hmm.
if he did, it'd be really impressive.
Yeah. If Chytil scores though, like game one, what? I mean, that would be crazy. You
That,
feel great for him. If
yeah.
you would have told me just a week ago, if you would have told anybody yesterday, if you would have told anybody that Chytil would be scoring game one, you'd look at you like he was crazy because you didn't even think he'd play. Now he's back
If he plays game one, he's my pick.
to score. We have
Hmm.
to reset the records for the playoffs, I think.
No,
Then
we
I'm
should
winning
roll
the
through.
playoffs.
All right, fine. We'll do just
Or
like
no,
two
we can
separate.
roll through. We can roll through because that actually helped me. It gave me another chance to come back. But yeah, Kreider, Mika, Heedle. Your second line would stay intact. Of course, your third line would be the normal um, Cooley, Wenberg, Kako, and then of course your fourth line would probably be VZ, Gaudreau, Rempe. If Rempe's active, Rempe, I think they could have used the last two games, and that's where we can kind of dive into next year. Next year is the last two games where the Rangers have been outscored 8-3. Not very good against the rush. Defensively weren't great. Again, I don't want to say the Islanders are a desperate team because they currently hold a playoff spot right now with 89 points, and they're 3 points ahead of Pittsburgh. In terms of if Pittsburgh would jump them for that third spot of the Metro, Isles fall to the second wild card. Right now, they're in that third spot of the Metro. I wouldn't say the Islanders are desperate. The Flyers are desperate, though. They lost 8 straight. They were at 83 points. Pittsburgh, Capitals, Red Wings, Islanders, all the teams in front of them all have a game in hand. So I would still
Yeah.
consider them desperate. They also lost the Penguins, who are desperate. So, we talked about a little bit with this team where they get complacent sometimes. That's happened a little bit sometimes this year with Leeds, where they'd have a 2-0 lead, a 3-win lead. They lose it, they would end up coming back and winning. It feels like that's what these last two games have been. It's a grind. This final stretch of the season, when you're not playing for anything really, when you're already in, whether you're eliminated from the playoffs or you're already in the playoffs, these last kind of 10 games is rough because you don't want to, you don't want to go out there and hurt yourself. You don't want to go out there and, drain yourself before the playoffs, but you also don't want to go out there and lose all these games and have no momentum going into the playoffs. So it's trying to find that balance. It feels like the Rangers have been complacent. Is that what you're seeing? I don't think it's too much of a concern. I mean, look, if they lose the next two games, they go into the playoffs losing 4 straight. I mean, I think it's natural if you're a little concerned if you lose 4 in a row, including a game to Ottawa at home on Monday. Like if you lose that, I think it is a little concerning. But I don't know. What do you take from these last two?
Yeah, I feel like obviously they've been running at teams that need those games more than they do,
Yeah.
but I don't think that's really an excuse why you should lose to like an inferior opponent. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I feel like the more important thing is just kind of getting into the games, getting healthy. But you kind of do want to. It's a Stanley Cup playoffs, so I feel like the matchups could don't really matter that much to say. Like you could lose to any teams, but I think in this scenario, I think I'd rather play a team like Pittsburgh or Washington or Detroit or the Islanders instead of having to play a team like Tampa. But
Yep.
you do want to kind of have that momentum going into the playoffs. Um, but I feel like hockey's weird though. Like I feel like there's been years where teams kind of limped into the playoffs. Like Panthers weren't great, and then they went on that run. And then there's probably teams where they were on fire, and just the playoffs, so you can't really
Mm-hmm.
predict it. But I think obviously you want to be on the side that your team is playing well going into the playoffs. But I think these two games that you're going to need to win just to kind of get that bad taste out of your mouth, especially from the Islanders and Flyers game too, but especially the Flyers game because that's a game at home ice, team that lost 8 in a row, and they
Yeah.
really didn't play well at all in that game. I mean, the Islanders game, at least you had two good periods where you kind of dominated, but the Flyers game was a little disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Obviously, you want to get those 2 points to kind of separate the lead in the Metro and the Eastern Conference, but I guess now they kind of have to go out there and win 2 games. So
Yeah.
depends what happens. But I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to be in first or in the playoffs home game, but you really want to get that first seed or the second seed to get even. You know what, though? I don't think I would want the second seed actually because that means we'd have to play Tampa, but just try to avoid Tampa,
Yeah.
win the games, just play well, get some momentum
Yeah.
going
And
in the playoffs.
mhm. Yeah, I agree with you. Definitely on the Islanders game. Like the Islanders game didn't bother me as much. They were actually hot going into that. They won what 3 straight going into that. That was their 4th straight. Then they beat Montreal, or they won 4 straight going into that. That was their 5th straight. They beat Montreal for their 6th. They'll go for their 7th tomorrow. The Flyers game was a little bit more annoying. It's also because they just played bad really the entire game, and it was on home ice. The Islanders haven't had the Rangers at UBS, I think, since what, 2023 was it? It's been crazy. Like the way that the scheduling has gone with the Rangers and the Islanders has been unbelievable. They didn't even play at all in 2023, and then they threw them in the Stadium Series.
2022.
What do you say?
That was the last time. That was 2022. Last time.
Yeah, last time. Yeah, before the Stadium Series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's kind of been weird. I think that was the first time they were at UBS since, because the Stadium Series, of course, count as an Islanders home game because of the thing with the Rangers and MSG. So I think that was whatever. Either way, it was at UBS, Rangers, Islanders. That didn't bother me as much. It was more so the Flyers game. But yeah, I agree. I think it's, you'd rather face Pittsburgh, Capitals, one of those teams as opposed to Tampa. I mean, Tampa scares me. I mean, we've said that a lot. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm not scared of Tampa. I'm scared of Tampa. I wouldn't want to play Tampa. Not saying that I don't think we could beat them, but you'd like a little bit of I don't want to say easy because no series is easy, but a more favorable matchup in the first round where you feel confident you could win 5 games. That Tampa series, there's probably a good chance that even if they win, it's probably going to 7 games. It's a good chance. So don't want that in the first round.
That'd be a tough series.
Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, who do you think ends up getting in the wild card? Do you think it's Pittsburgh? I think it'll probably be Pittsburgh. I know that's boring because they currently occupy the spot, but
yeah, it could be Pittsburgh.
Not the Flyers, not the Red Wings. The Penguins just beat the Red Wings, so that's pretty big. I think the Penguins' remaining games is Nashville and the Island. That Islanders game, I mean, for drama, you'd love for that to be like a win and in. But you think it's Pittsburgh that will face
probably
a repeat of, which is crazy to think that Pittsburgh's in after trading Gensel. It looked like they were done, and then now they've really kind of clawed their way back. You think we take home the Presidents? Or at least finish first in the East? Because I know obviously Dallas is 1 point behind us.
I'd say probably. I think they're like, if I had to choose one, I'd probably say the East. I think they're going to end up getting these 2 games and finishing first.
Yeah. The East is what matters most. As long as Boston doesn't jump them, which is obviously wouldn't happen. The East is what matters most. The West doesn't. I mean, if Dallas jumps us and wins the President's Trophy, I really couldn't care less. I mean, as long as you win the East and you avoid playing Tampa in the first round, that's the biggest thing for me. Yeah, I mean that. It'll be interesting.
Either way, I mean, if they end up playing the Islanders, whoever that 3rd seed is, if they fall or get the 2nd wild card, I think those are ideal.
Yeah, like you're saying, if the Rangers had to face Isles.
Like I'm saying, if they fall to the 2nd Metro or win the Eastern Conference,
Carolina jumped them.
I think the worst case scenario, like we were saying, is if you finish 2nd in the conference and then have to play Tampa.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. The worst matchup, the scariest matchup first round is Tampa. Best case scenario is one of Pittsburgh, Capitals, Detroit. I mean, the Flyers, I think, are more unrealistic. I mean, it'd take a lot for them to get in right now. So out of that realistic bunch, those teams that are at 86 and 85 with 79 games, 3 games apiece, that'd probably be the best case scenario. But then again, it's the playoffs. I mean, anything could happen. Not many people expected the Rangers 2 years ago to all the way to the ECF. Not many people expected the Rangers after winning the first 2 last year to fall in Game 7. So really is what it is there. Panarin, get a couple points there here, and then we'll close things out. Panarin, 117 points. Probably won't hit Yager's mark. I mean, he'd need, 7 points in 2 games? That'd be...
Yeah, and that would to break it.
A natural hat trick.
He would need 6.
2 natural hat tricks, let's say. And an assist. 2 assists, 2 hat tricks, 2 assists, 8 points.
He could drop like a 5-point game against like Ottawa.
He could. Do you think he cracks 120? I think so.
Yeah,
3 games, 2 games, 3 points, 2 games.
He can get it tomorrow.
So what do you think he finishes with?
I say he gets 5 more.
So you think he finishes with 122? 2 shy of Yager, right?
It'd be 1 shy.
Or 1 shy of Yager, 2 shy of beating him. So, yeah, I'll say 121. I'll go one behind you. Say he picks up two apiece, the next two, and then you think he cracks 50 goals? How many of those
Um,
points are goals?
I say 2.
I'll say he cracks 50. Why not? I'll say 3 goals, 1 assist. He'll score a goal tomorrow. He'll score 2 against Ottawa. He'll maybe have an assist. Ideally, that Ottawa game is like 5-2. Best case scenario, it's kind of a blowout. You don't really have to worry about anything, especially if it's a game to
Or
win the East,
it could also mean
ideally.
nothing though.
What, the Ottawa game?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they win and then the
Rempe
Bruins
first line.
Bruins and Hurricanes lose their next game.
Yeah. So if they had that game doesn't mean nothing, how much Rempe should we see? We should see Rempe the whole game. First line Rempe.
They'd probably just keep it the same.
Yeah. No,
I don't think they'd make any like big changes.
nah, it's be more of a final tune up, I guess. Um yeah, I mean that's final week, final 2 games. Next week we'll have our awards. Our MVP, who wore the fishbowl best. The Fishbowl Awards, I guess the official title here. We'll have most improved, we'll have breakout, biggest surprise, most disappointing, best line, potentially. So 6-7 awards. We'll have that next week, of course. We'll also have post-game live streams after each series or each game, and then episodes after each series. So we're also trying to get some guests on as well. So a lot more content. We got to pick goals. Any other thoughts, though, Joe, before we pick goals?
No, yeah, kind of like what you're saying. We'll have like an episode next week, kind of just to preview everything
Yeah.
as far as the playoffs. We could also kind of maybe do a kind of a two-parter where one we can recap the season, or if you we can kind of do that at the end of the year. Actually, we don't
Yeah,
if you
that
want to
could be
do
our.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we definitely have an episode to preview that. But in Filip Chytil, we trust.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of content. The regular season has been a lot of fun.
Wait,
2 games
one
left.
more thing. Right
Close it
now,
out,
yeah,
and then
yes or
yeah,
no? You have to choose one. Is Filip Chytil playing game one?
I'd say so. Yeah, if I
Yeah,
had to choose, maybe
especially
that's just being too
because
optimistic, but
he's in full
I don't
contact.
see what do you say.
Especially because he's in full contact.
Yeah, full contact at this point, like they're kind of right in that range of giving him almost like a ramp up, like a full week of ramp up before they either play Saturday or Sunday of next week. The timing of it all, it just feels like why would he come back now?
Yeah,
Why would he come back to play?
it makes
Maybe
no
it's like
sense.
game 2 or game 3, but
He'll be
I think
playing
he's going to
for
want to
sure.
be in there game 1,
Just to
personally.
kind of get that get it over with,
Yeah. 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 Ideally, I think you'd want him out there game 1 rather than like a crucial game 4 or crucial game 5, something like that. I think you'd want him out there early to get it out of the way, like you said, and then only get better. But yeah, give him a ton of credit. He easily could have kind of just not gave up, but stopped working his way back and then kind of ending the season. But he's back, and Hedo we trust. We're back. The Stanley Cup was off last night. Now it's back on.
back on.
We're back. So goal scores, final 2 games of the regular season, and of course we'll carry this into the playoffs. Hopefully, 16 wins and hopefully a lot of correct goal scores. There's always some random goal scores in the playoffs, so probably take a draw in game 1 potentially. But either way, tomorrow Islanders. Who we taking?
It's like Kreider.
Kreider. I'll take Panarin. Actually, yeah, because I have him scoring 3 goals next. I'll take Panarin tomorrow. I feel like Panarin might be better for Ottawa. I feel like he's going to score against Ottawa. I probably should
do both.
I could double up on Panarin. It's a guaranteed 1. Like Panarin's going to score in one of the next 2.
You need the points, so
I need the points. So, do I take Panarin again? Go for 2?
yeah, you should.
Either way, who do you have against Ottawa?
I'll take I'll do Capo or no Lafreniere.
Laugh against Ottawa. I guess I'll go Panarin. I need the points. I doubt Panarin. I think Panarin scores at least one of the next 2. I mean,
both.
He scored 6 in the last
Score
10.
both.
I'll go Panarin for both. I need the points. I need to stay. I need the safe bet. I need at least one game. I can almost guarantee Panarin will score in one of these games, so I need that. Need at least one. So I'll go Panarin both. And then next week we'll have potentially a couple episodes up. Honestly, one recap in season, then we'll kind of have a series preview, all that stuff, getting things all set up for the playoffs. Live streams after each series or after each game. I keep saying after each series. Live stream, post game live streams after each game. Episodes after each series. Hopefully multiple series. Hopefully 4 series, ideally. Not one, but we'll see. Any closing thoughts before we end our final regular season episode? 28 episodes technically in the regular season. So a lot of hockey covered and hopefully a lot more. Hopefully we'll be well into June talking Rangers.
Let's go. Season starts now.
Talking Rangers taking over the month of June. June Rangers. It's time. So that'll do it. See you in the next one. As always, hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.